Swippy92 here. So, my review for Minecraft Dungeons. Finally. Or should I say maybe not finally, or I don't know. Anyway, let's start with something positive. There are training dummies to test your weapons at. So, there's that. Yeah, and then you have nice references to Minecraft. It feels and looks like Minecraft, and the upgrading system for weapons is really nice. You get upgrading points every time you level up, and you use these to upgrade your weapons and armor with different abilities. There are powerful and common abilities for these. Then now let's move on to the rest of the game. It's a nice game, but there are a lot of things that I feel like I'm missing. Mostly more of a balanced system, because everything is very randomized. You can play on different difficulties, of course, and these difficulties will increase the loot, and I think also new loot is available on higher difficulties. There are only 3 different difficulties, but they are a very big range of difficulties, so it will get harder. But Minecraft is suffering from something that I see in a lot of these dungeon crawler games, and that is the difficulty curve is not balanced. If you play against random mobs, you're doing okay, you one-hit everything, and then you encounter some small bosses that gives you a small problem, and you're fine. And then you get to a real boss, a final boss in that level, if there is one. And that boss will whoop your ass like nothing. It will crush you under a fingernail or something. I mean, the difficulty curve is much like I've observed in Grim Dawn and also in Van Helsing, I feel. The Amazing Adventures of Van Helsing. But even though with these difficulty curves you can go back to previous locations and grind for better and more loot, of course. Problem with that is that there is not much loot, to be honest. Of course, you have I will give them points for the weapons that are available. There are very different or several different weapons available, like two-handed, one-handed, and you can also use some weapons are in each hand and so on, which I like. But it does not make it better, because the weapons are very random. In the beginning, of course, you get the many common weapons. There are just common, gray in color, and maybe 1 or 2 green, and very few above that. Of course, some legendary or whatever they call it exists as well. But I do wish that there was more of a less randomized thing, because I can get common items from bosses, lost bosses, and I can get it from chests that are like golden. They're supposed to be like, oh, this is a special chest, open it now. But then you open it up and you're like, what? A common sword. And I almost start to cry. Anyway, of course there are some enemies that will drop legendaries on random, much like other dungeon crawlers. And now when I think about it, why is this called Minecraft Dungeons? Because there aren't many dungeons. The dungeons are part of the story missions areas. I mean, Oh, sorry. I was let me explain a little bit better. You go through a story area, and then instead of following the waypoint that shows you this is where you're supposed to go, you go maybe another place, and there you will find, or might find, a dungeon, which you can explore, or you can go down, explore a small section, and then you go up again, and then you're back in the story area, which is normally outside. And when you then go back to camp, you can enter that dungeon, and it will be much, much, much bigger. But problem is there seems to be only 2 dungeons in the game, and this is a big miss, I think. For starters, there aren't many levels at all in the game. There are not that many areas. There is 2 DLCs coming up. I can't remember when the first one is supposed to release. I think it's the end of summer. August, September, somewhere around there. And yeah, I hope that will add something, but how much can there really be if this is supposed to be the full game? You do get a full story, of course, which is, the story is decent, nothing groundbreaking, but I enjoy it. Yeah, and the randomized thing again, it's not good. Even your abilities are pickups that you pick up, and you gain abilities like shooting a rocket and it explodes, or a laser beam, or something that makes you cloak and receive less damage, or well, some other things. Can't remember top of my head actually. There are a lot of interesting abilities, I give them that. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Some of them are nice, some of them are not very nice. There's also a dodge button. Now that I just popped into my head, and remember that one because the dodge button is very, very important. When you dodge, you receive less damage, or even negate, or you can dodge projectiles. So it's very important to remember that you have one. Yeah, as I said, abilities are random, which I'm not a fan of because it doesn't make you don't get to choose a class in this game. You create a character, male or female, and then you start. I think it was male or female. Is it even that? Well, you create a character and then you start playing, and you get to choose what weapons you want to use, and then you pick up random abilities as you move on. These abilities also come in different rarity, so common, uncommon, rare, and I assume there are like relic or uniques or whatever the orange one is called. But so far I haven't found any of those. I have gotten rare at most. But yeah, it's a system that works, but I'm not a fan of it, sadly. Some of these are of course better than others, and the unique ones have unique abilities that gives them a certain edge. And the upgrades that you can make for armor and weapons are also randomized. And there are also 1 to 3 slots that you can use that you can gain, so you can gain a special ability on that weapon or armor. So far, I haven't found any with 3 slots. I have found with 2 at most. The problem is that this seems to be very randomized as well. I have seen weapons that are in my level, or my power level, 30 to 40, and they have only one slot that can be upgraded. This is also something that I think interferes with the balance of the game, because you can find a weapon that is tougher, higher damage, but only has one special ability or special thing that you can upgrade, because you get to choose between 3 different upgrades in each slot, or up to 3 I should say, and sometimes you get bad ones that you really don't want, and sometimes you get good ones. And I don't... It's too much that is randomized in this game, I think. Even when you even when you're exploring, everything is very much randomized. The enemies are randomized, where you encounter them and so on, except for bosses, of course. But as many other games in the dungeon crawler genre, I feel that a melee character is very vulnerable. I mean, you're close to the enemy and you get killed very easily, but at the same time you don't take in less damage. And unless you have an armor that does reduce the damage you take, of course, but that is... you might find a armor that is better, that you like more, but it doesn't have the reduced damage. It maybe gives you more health, more damage, and maybe it gives you something very special that you really need, but no damage reduction. So suddenly you take more damage again. And this can result in a quick death. Mainly by creepers, of course. And now we got back to that. You will find many things that are familiar to those who have played Minecraft, and I like that. It looks like Minecraft. It doesn't feel like Minecraft, mainly because of the camera and so on. Although it looks like Minecraft, and there are many things that are familiar to me, even though I don't play much Minecraft. With that said, as I said so many times now, it's too randomized for me. I like that they are trying and they have a good foundation. I like the game. It's worth a try, but I do recommend playing it on PC with the Game Pass, the Xbox Game Pass, because that's only $5 and you get to play the game for a month, if you can stand it that long, that is. But yeah. Oh, and one last thing now. One other thing that is very randomized in this game, that is the loot. Because you can buy some armor or you can buy randomized armor and artifacts. Artifacts are the ones that gives you abilities. And you use green gems to buy these, and they cost a moderate amount, not too expensive. But as I said, they're randomized. If you have played Diablo 2 and you have gone to Guide, then you know what I'm talking about. Or if you have played Diablo 3 and been to what's the lady's name? Kadala? Kadala? No. What? The woman who sells randomized things for blood shards. Can't remember her name. Oh well. If you play Diablo 3, you know what I'm talking about. They are like that, totally randomized. You can get, or accept that you can get common items from these and not blue up. So you can get common swords or common artifacts, and which are, they say they are randomized based on your level. It doesn't feel like that because the power level of mine is 32 and I get 30 power level on the weapons, and it feels like something is missing there. The balance of gaining something that you can use, and it doesn't feel right. And I don't know what the randomized chance is because I haven't looked this up, but I imagine it's quite high. or low I should say, that you can get a blue item, a rare item, even when, or since this is not a difficulty, you don't have a difficulty level in the game, only on missions. The difficulty level doesn't affect what you get when you play, or when you are in the camp. So yeah, the randomized thing, not a fan, very not a fan. But yeah, that's all I got for you. So what do you think? Have you played the game, or did you like it maybe? And put your thoughts in the comments below. Have a great life, and I hope to see you in future videos. Bye bye.